Good evening. It is currently the 19th of July, 2013, except it's the 20th for Quad, I believe. And this is episode 15? 15 or 16?
15.
15 of Time to Live podcast. It's our podcast about gaming and all things surrounding it. And one of these days I'm going to do my LARP. I am one of your hosts, Reverend, of my compatriot Quad.
Hello.
And our newest host, who has about as hectic a schedule as I do, because he's hardly ever available, Travis.
Sorry, hello. Sorry to all the super loyal fans.
Hey, legitimately, one of my buddies that I sword fight on, I met down in San Diego, was talking about how he listens to it and he loves our format and he loves that you're a host and he thinks you add to it, but damn it, we don't record enough. I was like, dude, shut up. We're all living lives. He's like, well, you owe it to me.
It's all for him.
Exactly. So if you're hearing this, Exile, I've now chewed everybody out for you.
Wow. Yeah.
So yeah, let's get this on the road. It's kind of late, and I'm only halfway through one beer, and I've got two more lined up tonight.
Nice.
Oh, it's almost 7 o'clock for me, AM, so...
It's never too early to start.
No, it's never too early to start, I have to say that. But, right, let's just kick it off with Reverend. What have you been playing?
I'm actually going to modify this based on some feedback from another of our listeners. I have only been playing a limited number of games, and I'll tell you why. The primary game that I've been playing has been called Dice Wars. It's a Flash game that's kind of like Risk, but it's based entirely off the dice. It's not a set map, but I really like the randomization aspects to it. The interface is nice and simple. You click on your country, you click on the other country, the dice roll, and if the number of dice that you have equals more than their dice, then you win and you move over.
So
really
it's
simple.
exactly like Risk.
Kind of, but there's I don't know. Instead of, correct me if I'm wrong, it's been a while since I've played Risk, but when you take over another country or another state, whatever it is, in Risk, you don't have to take all of your army except one. I think you can separate it out based on what you want to do, correct?
I haven't played Risk in so long.
So. It's been a while.
Yeah. And usually I don't follow the rules. I was too little.
I like the cannons. But yeah, that's primarily the only game that I've been playing in the last 2 weeks because my work schedule is just getting more and more hectic and more shit's getting dropped in my lap. So having to deal with that, I have just not had time. I come home, help my wife take care of the kids for 2 hours, put them to bed, and then I'm asleep, usually before they make it there. So, but the reason I play it is because it's a very nice, it's a simple game. It's something you can play 2 or 3 rounds of in the span of, full games of it in the span of 15 minutes. So it's just a nice little relaxation break that I can do in between dealing with stuff.
Yeah, I remember actually playing Dice Wars quite a number of years ago.
Yeah,
really?
it is an older game. I'll shoot you the link.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty interesting.
It's very simple.
Yeah, and other than that, the only other game that I've been playing has been sword fighting.
Okay.
And that's not code or euphemism, that's sword fighting.
Yeah. We know.
Oh, we know. We know.
Yeah. Okay, Travis.
Yes, sir.
What have you been playing?
I've been playing a lot, probably way too much of PlanetSide 2. And this is a game that when it came out, when the beta was released, I got into the beta, I installed it, I loaded the game, deployed, went out, got killed, uninstalled the game, and never looked at it again. And then Visor from the channel, whose channel is Viva Visor, if you want to check it out, said, you got to play it, check it out again. So I reinstalled it, checked it out, and it's a ton of fun. I've been having so much fun playing with it. It's like an epic. Well, here's why I like it. I really like MMOs because you get to sort of be the best at something and kind of show off, and I don't know, that's a cool aspect that you don't get in a single player game. And so it's kind of got that aspect. It's got the like massive aspect of like this feels like a huge war, and there's tanks and there's artillery and aircraft, and you capture points over this huge map that's spread over 3 continents. It's actually it's way better than what I thought it was. When I first dropped in initially, I loaded the game and I was like, oh, this is like some Counter-Strike shit, and I got killed immediately, and I'm never going to be good at this, and it sucks. But once you start learning about like how the game works, and that it's not just like a Twitch shooter, that there's actually quite a bit of strategy, and you get in with a good like outfit, which is like the guilds in the game. It's a lot of fun, and I highly recommend it.
So it sounds like it's kind of a MMO version of Battlefront.
It's an MMO FPS.
Yeah, it's like Battlefield kind of, and
Just vaster
yeah,
maps and, well, more people.
yeah. There's a ton of people. I mean, sometimes if the map positioning is just right and you sort of get a funnel, you can have so many people. I don't know what the numbers are, like 100 something, like running around at one time. More. It's not a situation where a certain amount of people are queuing up and then loading this map and then fighting. It's a situation where you load the map and you're free to go anywhere in the continent and attack any point and do whatever. So it's not even, there's no limit to the amount of players that could conceivably attack this point. And which creates a lot of strategy. You attack this other point and then they defend and you move on and you pull tanks, and it's a lot of fun.
Huh.
Yeah, but there's also, siege aspects, where you have to defend a point, and I've actually been in one that lasted for 3 hours.
Yeah.
Just for 1 point on the map.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was fun.
Okay.
Yeah,
Are you let's playing it?
No, I'm not let's playing it because it's so open, and like I'm not good enough at like Twitch first person shooter kind of stuff. The people that do videos of like first person shooters like Call of Duty and stuff, they're like really, really good. You know what I mean? They're the guys that just like dominate the map. Like those are the only people that people watch. So I don't know. I just don't feel good enough to do that.
I'm really good at FPSs.
I'm pretty good. I just don't
are.
feel like I'm amazing.
But I'm so bored of them.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's usually not my game. But I like it. The only bad thing I would say about it is there is kind of a grind in that you have to accumulate certs and then spend them on things. Everything's a side grade, so it's not really like you can just dominate if you've been playing longer, but it's still like in order to get cool stuff, it just takes a while. So
Yeah,
it can be, disheartening, but it's cool.
it is.
That's all I've been playing. That and a little bit of EVE Online.
Oh, Excel Online.
Yes, Excel Online. Dude, I've been playing. I looked at my EVE Online character the other day. I've been playing since 2004. Had a freaking EVE Online account. How many months is that? $14 a month? And a lot of times I will just log in to switch my skills, and I don't even I haven't played in like a year. What kind of business model is that? They're just raping me.
Yeah.
It's great. I wish I would have thought of that.
Right.
That's $1,620.
Oh God.
Roughly.
Awesome.
It's at $15 a month, 12 months per year. Yeah.
And then the original
still not the
price.
equivalent. Yeah, still not the equivalent of buying every Train Simulator DLC though.
No, it's not.
Nothing
right.
compares to that expense in gaming.
Right,
Sorry,
then
go
let's
ahead,
move
Claude.
on to me then.
All right.
Let me just say, I haven't actually played any Dota 2 over the last 2 weeks.
Yes, I wish I had
Woohoo!
a clap track that I could play.
Quick, find a sound file.
I'm bored.
I actually I've actually bought EVE Online yesterday.
Oh yeah, it's Steam sale.
Yes. Right, but let's get over to the games I've been actually playing. I played
And why?
Yeah, I played Rogue Legacy.
Rogue
I
Legacy.
haven't. I'm out of the loop on that one. What's Rogue Legacy?
Rogue Legacy is a 2D roguelike fight with sword thing. Yes.
It's like a platformer, right?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Where you have to, defeat enemies and go kill. But the interesting thing is, every time you die, there are 3 heirs you can choose from with different traits that continue on. Well, not really continue on, but where you get a new character, you keep the gold of the previous character, and you upgrade your castle and try to, finish the game eventually.
That's right. I think I saw an episode of somebody on that.
It's like your next of kin. Is that what it is? Like
Yes.
3
kinda.
offspring.
Yes.
That's kind of an interesting
and then
take.
you can check your family tree later on. No. See.
So it's like The Sims meets Contra.
Also meets yeah. And
Castlevania, maybe.
Yeah, that's a good yeah.
Okay, well, you should probably just check it out, Rogue Legacy.
It's $12 right now. I was just watching the trailer, and they make it very clear that it's $12.
Okay.
Good.
Right. Not new interesting game. Old interesting game. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2.
Oh yeah, it was
You're
just
finally getting
the
into it.
anniversary, I believe.
Yeah.
Cool.
They had a thing at my wife's work about it. The anniversary.
Go figure.
Yeah.
Right, so I've been playing that because, well, Rev said I need to play it more. And I've gotten to about the point where I last stopped, like years ago. So, yeah, it's fun. I downloaded some more mods and then I had to restart and I got kind of bored, so now I have to pick it up again.
I didn't even know they had mods for it.
Well,
only for the PC version.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. What's
But
interesting
they,
is they came out with it on iPad.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, yes and no. Like they're it seems like a lot of companies are moving those like the older, pause action available games over to the iPad and other tablets. But it seems like it'd be a bit intense for an iPad, in my opinion.
Yeah, I put it on my iPad. It was a little. It ran okay. It's just you look back and I remember being like, oh man, the graphics are awesome, and it's like so bad. It looks even worse on the iPad. And you're like, what is this?
Right.
Okay.
One more game. Stronghold Crusader.
Ooh, how does
Okay.
that compare to Stronghold?
Just the same, you're just Crusaders.
Oh.
Pretty much.
Well said.
It's. I feel like the Stronghold games are mostly the same. With new added feature for every new game, and sometimes the stories in the games are different. But I hadn't actually played Stronghold until I bought it like 3 or 4 days ago. So, yeah.
What do you think?
It's fun. I get my ass beat a lot, but it's fun.
Wait a minute. Stronghold Crusader is the old one. Yes?
I don't think it's that old, is it?
I think Stronghold 3 is the new one.
Yes. It is.
with like full 3D. Stronghold Crusader is still like sprites and stuff like that.
2001. Oh wait, no, hold
2002.
on.
Well, if you like Stronghold Crusader, do not get Stronghold 3 because Stronghold 3 I thought was terrible and should never have been placed in the Stronghold franchise.
Yes,
What about
that's what I've
Stronghold
heard.
Crusader Extreme?
I don't know. I've never played the Crusader versions of them.
I do have it, but apparently it's not that good, according to some, review sites.
Yeah. They just phoned it in. You look at the screenshots of Stronghold 3 and you're like, oh man, I love Stronghold games. This is going to be awesome. Look at those graphics. But then you play it and it's like, where are all the Stronghold things that I love? They're gone.
What Stronghold things? Like,
I mean, you can like siege castles kind of, but there's like 2 maps and they both suck. And you kind of just build your own stuff. I like building my own like sandbox castles, right? Like that's my favorite thing to do. And it's
do that.
Stupid.
I have to have a purpose.
I like building games. I like sim games.
But the thing in Stronghold Crusader is that most of the things you do, the scenarios, the historical campaigns and so on, you do a lot of fighting. A lot of fighting. There's always a human opponent. Yes, so that, well, not human opponent, but, AI. But,
yeah.
I know in the other games there are wolves and so on that can attack, animals and such.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, well, it seems to be a sufficiently old game. I might try and play it at some point.
Yes, that's mostly the things I've been playing. I'll probably remember something else later if I have been playing something else.
Alright.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving along.
Yes. Do you guys have a Let's Play you'd like to feature this week?
I don't. I haven't been watching anything lately. I've been so busy.
Okay.
I'm gonna say it, and
Uh-oh.
I am. I have only watched 2 LP videos in the last forever. Like, I've been listening to Get Dave and Snapwave doing KOTOR 2, but that's just as I fall asleep, and I'm usually only listening to about 5 minutes at a time. But I watched an episode of The Last of Us by John Paula. And regardless of any personality conflicts that I might have with him, I have to say I'm really impressed. He just did the first 17 minutes, the prologue on it, but he's got like 30 episodes of it already recorded, and is releasing them like every other weekday. But
Last of Us.
Who is that? I don't know.
John Paula. I mean,
from our thing.
From our Let's Play, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Some people kind of have an issue with him. He sometimes comes across, at least in his interactions with people outside of his LPs and his channel, as kind of arrogant. But he's got 60,000 subscribers to his Game Station channel, and obviously he's doing something right. He does a show called Game Time. Sorry, not Game Station. But obviously he's doing something right because he's got a shit ton of subscribers. And I gave it a watch, and despite The Last of Us being a horror suspense game, at least in that first intro section, I was able to watch it in large part because of his commentary. I did a review for him earlier this year about his Earthbound series, and I was like, look, it's very juvenile, it's potty humor, and damn it, it doesn't interest me. I watched this one just Wednesday, I believe it was, and it really the jump in maturity level was ridiculous. Instead of feeling like I was listening to a bunch of 13-year-olds making dick and poop jokes on YouTube, I felt like I was legitimately watching an episode of MST3K.
Interesting. So what you're saying is he listened to you and he owes all of his success to your feedback.
Yes, that's what I'm gonna claim.
That's what I heard.
That's what I'm gonna claim. No, but I am saying, like, for me, I enjoy seeing this, and this is a series. Like I said, I don't do horror suspense. I'm gonna actually recommend it if you're interested at all in any of the things that I tend to enjoy. If you trust my judgment, I'm interested in seeing how the rest of the season goes through. Yeah, I heard that.
Okay.
So yeah, John Paula, and we'll put a link in the description of the video.
If I remember.
If I remember.
Yeah. Right. I keep coming back to this because I've been watching Rome Total Realism because Rome Total War Let's Plays because I just can't play the games myself because I would just get bored. But I can watch it.
That's kind of interesting that you can
Yes.
watch it, but you wouldn't be able to. Usually it's like the opposite, right?
There are games where I can watch and, well, that I
Wait
just
a
can't play
second.
myself.
You play Dwarf Fortress and you get bored by Rome?
Oh,
Yes.
good point.
Yes, I do get bored by it. Because it's just the same thing over and over again.
Like
Yeah, but you
history.
can do the battle tactics and...
Well,
Okay, go on.
okay, so this is the guy I've already, featured, which is Captain Apollo, if you remember.
Yeah.
No.
He's been in the IRC. His channel is Grey Hunter 0089. Why has
What an
that?
awesome name.
That's Grey with an E.
Oh god.
Yes, so Grey Hunter
Needs more
0089.
X's.
He's currently doing Rome Total Realism, Crusader Kings 2, and Grand Ages of Rome.
Has he changed it? Because I'm not showing any results for him.
Grey Hunter with an E.
Yeah.
Oh man.
089.
This is a bad sign.
What?
This is when you know your channel name sucks.
0089. I'll find him straight away.
0089?
Yes.
Last time I had it 009.
Okay.
009.
That's you have to choose a proper name when you do this because it's kind of bad, not doing it. Yeah, and I've been watching a lot of other people as well for their different things like Vampire the Masquerade. I can't play that game because I hate the universe.
I'd agree with that.
Yes. So
Yeah.
that's actually the only reason why I can't play it. I just can't get the universe. It's just
I can't do any vampire shit. I can't get into that stuff. Do you like vampire stuff? And it's not like, oh, Twilight, I hate Twilight. I'm talking like real vampire stuff. I don't know, it doesn't interest me. But honestly,
did you ever play Blood Rain?
Is that with the chick with the boobs?
Yeah, that was the Nazi hunting vampire.
Yeah, no, I never played that.
I didn't either.
I think you could get into that one because it has absolutely nothing to do
her
with
bikini
vampires.
could potentially get me into it.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't really love zombie games. Do you guys love zombie stuff? Maybe
Yes,
it's just
I do.
like I'm just over it. I don't know.
I really like watching zombie games and movies.
No, I don't.
Well,
I mean,
I don't like
I watch-
watching the shitty ones and playing the shitty ones.
Yeah, I don't know. I watched The Walking Dead, but
I can't watch it.
It's boring.
it's gotten more boring. The first
Yes.
season was pretty good. I
Yeah,
think,
it
but
was actually really good the first
It's-
season, but
now it's
when
like
you
every
want to watch
show.
a series, you have to watch everything, and I
Yeah.
just can't do it. I just watched I watched the 2 first seasons, and I just
Yeah,
got annoyed.
everything is like that. It seems like I don't know. Even Game of Thrones. I watch Game of Thrones now. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, we get it. I don't know.
Oh, I'm gonna kill you.
I still love
You
it.
take that back.
I knew I was going to get some hate for that, but
Yes, you are. If you don't enjoy that, just read the books, which I haven't done yet. I really
read the
should.
books.
I watched the first season having no clue what was going on. Some buddies of mine, we used to get together and watch some random show on Sundays, and Game of Thrones came out, and they're like, yeah, I gotta see it. So every Sunday we drove over to their place, we had dinner, and then we'd sit down and we'd watch the episode of Game of Thrones. And at the end of the season, I was like, fuck, I gotta wait 9 months until the next episode comes out. And they're like, well, or you could just read the book. So I went out and I bought the entire series that day.
Oh my God.
I had
think
them
that's
done
better
within a
probably.
week and a half.
Yeah, I have A Song of Ice and Fire lying around somewhere.
See, maybe you guys understand more, and that helps watching it. Because I've never read the books. I've really only watched the show. I don't even like look at the subreddit or anything, for like the ancillary information.
No,
I don't know.
I've also only seen the series. So yeah.
See, and honestly, the series, it's a faithful adaptation. I will give it that. They change enough things that modifies it properly for television. You know how like sometimes when they're modifying a book to a movie or TV series, they just horribly butcher it because, oh well, that's what TV people want. In this particular case, they've condensed some characters, and they've modified the timeline of events, but not really. They're just showing them in a more chronological order, because George R.R. Martin, his writing style for these books is it's done from each chapter is a different character's perspective, and there'll be months in between those where you have no idea what's going on with anyone else in the universe. Because you're following Catelyn Stark as she's walking down the road to go, non-spoiler, whatever. And
Yeah. Yeah, I think that might be better. It's part of the problem when I watch it is like you're going from person to person to person and keeping up with like 20 stories at once. And I start to feel like if I go get a drink, I come back, I'm like, what's going on?
That's why I download them.
You pirate.
Well, I have to because it doesn't release in Norway.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well,
acceptable
overall,
piracy.
No,
Yes.
honestly, overall, Game of Thrones, any HBO show is acceptable piracy because they are such douches about how they release.
Yes.
I
don't know.
It's available to me, so I don't feel justifiable in pirating it.
Well,
Another
I
conversation
subscribe to HBO, so I don't have to pirate it. But if you're not subscribed to HBO, it doesn't come out until like the next season is starting to get on DVD. Who's going to do that? That's nonsense. That's not how. It's like clinging to the old media windows. Anyway.
Yeah, I could see that. Okay, fair enough.
I mean, you
But
know
you
me.
should still buy
I'm
the
not
DVDs.
like for piracy. But yeah.
Okay. All right,
Okay.
off the Game of Thrones.
Yes. Let's get over to our topic
Sorry
that
for offending
isn't even close to anything we've spoken about now.
A good segue.
Yeah, it's pretty much it. I want to get this proper because I was having to remember what. Okay. So, our topic today is video game manuals and why they need to come back.
They do.
Okay.
End of conversation. Stop recording. We're done.
Video game manuals and why they need to come back. I think didn't I post this somewhere? Did you guys get this from me? Because I was complaining about this on Twitter like a month ago.
I don't know.
I've complained about it in the past, so your tweet might have caused me to go off on it again, which might have driven the impetus on this. But yes, I agree, and we can totally have a conversation with it. Who wants to start?
I will start.
Okay,
Unless
go
Quad
ahead.
wants to start.
Go ahead.
Well, just because I've actually thought about this quite a bit. When I sent out a tweet, I was like, remember when games had manuals and how fun that was. That was so awesome, or something like that. And people sent me back like, "Oh, I just watched videos on YouTube now. I just watch this and I read this." And there's all these guides and stuff. Missing the whole point, in my opinion, is what I loved is you open the game and you have this thick manual and you can look through it and smell it and
they had
feel
maps and they had
yeah, it was like awesome. You could see all this stuff and like why this and why that. There's a little story in there. Yes, I know now I can get the goddamn Prima guide and the friggin' everything,
wiki
all
page.
this crap, the wiki page. Yeah, but it's still fun to have the manual. That's my opinion.
Well, I would agree with that, and there's also, I think, in large part, it's there's also there's a tinge of nostalgia to it, because remember when you were a kid and you'd buy a game, and or even as an adult, you'd have your significant other or friend drive you to the store and you'd buy a game and you'd open it up in the car because you were so damn excited, and you're reading the manual because there's another 20 minutes until we get home and I can play this game, so I'm going to read everything I can. I miss that. Instead, we get this little leaflet. It's not even a booklet anymore. It's a
such
leaflet.
Nonsense.
Single-sided.
It's an ad for another game.
Exactly. And I get why game companies do this. Like, it is an expense, and games already cost apparently $600 million to make, and I get that they're trying to cut corners, but god damn it, stop cutting the good corners. Cut the dumb stuff like bad stories and horrible bugs. Cut that shit out. Keep our custom cases in our game manuals.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the reason why we don't need manuals.
Okay.
Mr. Opposing Voice.
Right, so, before, you couldn't always convey everything through the game, like tutorialization and everything. You had to have that in your manual. No, you had to have it in your manual. In, all the games, now I'm speaking, like in the 80s and so on.
You totally could.
Shut up.
It's called game design for a reason.
You're saying there wasn't enough, like, room on the ROM to have a tutorial level?
No.
Okay, no? I see what you're saying.
And, well, nowadays you can convey everything through the game. You could even have the bloody manual, in PDF if you wanted. It could be in the game where you have a journal where you can check everything that's going on. You can read up on what's happened. You can get pretty much everything of the story through that. Now, before, people weren't really good at doing this, the game designers and all that. They had a problem where they couldn't always convey everything through the game, so they had to have it in the manual. And before, there was also the question of DRM. We've spoken about this before, where there was a specific code in the manual where you had to have the manual to actually play the game.
Yeah.
But nowadays, you don't really need it.
I've got a counterpoint for you.
Yeah, okay. Go ahead with yours, and then I've got one too.
If that were true, think about what happens whenever there's a big like AAA game pre-release. What they do, inevitably, there's a collector's edition, and what's in that collector's edition? Paper, a bunch of manuals and maps and all the kind of crap that used to come with the game. So they know people like it. They know people for it. Yeah, they know people want that. They know full well people want that. So they make a special edition, charge $20 more for it, and there you go.
I bought Halo 3. I didn't buy the super Spartan edition that came with the plastic Spartan helmet. I bought the next step down. Because not because like the helmet was cool and all, and I ended up buying one of those off a buddy for like $15 a year later. But the reason I went the step down is because it had the bestiary, like the complete compilation of all the animals and vehicles and all of that in print. And,
I love that stuff.
Yeah, and if you got the super extra helmet edition, then you got it on DVD form, which also was cool. but I wanted that booklet. That booklet is so damn like, and it's only 25 pages or something, but it's hardbound, and you get that printer's ink smell to it, and yeah, no, I miss that sort of thing, and unfortunately, I'm no longer in a phase in my life where I can justify shelling out $100 for something like that. I can buy the game or I cannot. So, to me, that it really irritates me that the base edition of the game doesn't even come with a manual anymore. But my counterpoint was actually, I think it's a change in the mentality of game design that, to counter what Quad was saying, when you said that they couldn't show you everything, I think now they're more likely to show you everything. There's a sense of wonderment and discovery. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but did anybody else use the couple of journal pages that was in the manual, that one blank page, to draw out a map of a maze that you were in?
No.
I mean, that to me, that was part of the fun. It connected what I was doing sitting on my couch or sitting at the computer, and connected it to the decisions that I was making in game in a very real way that I don't get anymore in games. I mean, now you can throw something in your PS3 or your Xbox, and it makes you do the tutorial, and if you don't do every step in the tutorial, you can't bypass it. So
Bastards.
You have to block 6 times, and fuck you if you've already blocked 1.5 million getting to that point.
Right.
So I don't know. It may be psychological. It might be budgetary. I don't know. I want my manuals back.
I don't need manuals. They just...
Need and want are two different things.
Yeah, I don't need the manual.
I don't want manuals either, because
Why not?
I don't use them. There's no reason to.
If I had to sort of play devil's advocate, the only thing I could think of that would be like a reasonable excuse for a game company not to include it is that we live in a time of constant internet connection, patches, DLC, changes to the games. So most game companies ship a game that's sadly not even done, and a lot of times will change. But even if it is done, chances are that things will change, patches will evolve the game based on feedback and stuff like that. So maybe you could say, well, we don't want to print up this manual because it's so subject to change these days that it doesn't even matter, and we'd rather have some type of living document. I don't know.
No, counterpoint to that, World of Warcraft. You can go buy a stock copy of just World of Warcraft, and it comes with like 150-page manual that goes into the lore of the creatures and that was one of the draws for me. I didn't start playing World of Warcraft until almost 2 years into its run, and it still came with like 150. And I read that thing when I was at work and I couldn't play WoW because I'm sitting at my desk at work. I was reading through that and plotting out my alts. Like, I know it's good. They've patched this and that, but right now, this is how I want my next alt to go. And I couldn't do that because everything online was locked down. I had access to our CRM tool and the phone. So, you lose that. If your goal is to connect with people and draw them in and hook them in. Now, granted, I might be a sole exception to that with my addictive personality. I don't think so because I stopped playing WoW. But you were
one of the few that got out.
Exactly. But it really does. I don't know how to articulate this properly. Yes, there's a sense of nostalgia to it, but there's also a very real sense of connecting my physical, real world to the game universe in which I'm going to inhabit. And I don't find myself connecting so well with a lot of newer games. And I'm not saying it's the only reason, but I do say that it definitely is one of the variables in that equation.
Yeah, I agree. I think the gaming companies see that, they recognized it, and they acknowledged it, and now they're selling it. That's the only difference now, is that they're selling that experience apart from the price of the game, whether it be in like a Prima guide or additional material, additional printed material, collector's edition, stuff like that. But they know that experience is something that is sought.
In that case, I now dislike them even more. I'm trying to monetize my feelings.
Well, I don't care for manuals. I don't need them at all.
You really don't need them. I mean, you have
you
the
totally
internet.
don't.
And I wouldn't be sad if a game didn't come with, well, anything, game manual or anything, because I buy most of my games online nowadays.
Okay, I could see that. You've made the transition from physical market to digital market. I could see that change in consumerism there, but I didn't, and I haven't. Like I haven't made that juncture yet, and so for me, yeah, I'm kind of stuck in that limbo of between the two worlds. So I want my old and good, and the new scares me, I guess. I'm a fuddy-duddy, I'll say.
Look at CDs. The same thing happened. In the CD cover, the back of the CD cover, you used to have like band pictures or lyrics or like different info. Yeah, random side stuff, like just weird kind of whatever. It was like a place for the artist to be creative, and now that's completely out of the equation. I don't even know if anyone misses that. I never hear about that like I do game manuals. That discussion comes up sometimes. I think it's just what happens.
You know what? I think I'm gonna side with Quad now. I've just changed my stance. I think it really is that digital jump, because thinking back to it, yes, when I was collecting CDs of music, that sort of thing was important to me. And then as soon as I made the jump to only digital copies of music, I no longer cared. I think I've bought 4 CDs in the last 8 years. So maybe once it gets to the point where all of my gaming purchases are done online, I'll no longer. Sure, there'll be the nostalgia aspect to it, but I don't think. Oh, that's it. That's an interesting thought. I'm gonna meditate on that.
Go meditate on that and get back to us.
not right this instant, but
Please hold.
I could just say one thing. I don't have all the covers for my CDs and DVDs and whatever. I just keep them in a compacted form. I don't need the covers for anything. So I just toss them out, I toss the manual out, I toss everything out except the CD and, well, CD key if that's needed. I just put it on the CD.
Yes. See, and part of why I think I'm so anti-digital everything is fear for the future. And it's not so much fear of a what if, as in, what happens when Steam goes out of business and nobody can ever access the games that they've spent thousands of dollars on. That's kind of a whatever. But there's, I don't know, there's a sense of history to gaming that I'm looking up at my stack of my bookshelf of games and movies and going, my kids are about the same age now that I was when I started playing video games, and they're never gonna know what it feels like to be playing on an NES controller, the horrible shape of that where it cut the corners into your hands, and the Nintendo lean, the Mario lean as you jump really far. They're never going to understand. Did you never do that?
No.
Like watch somebody who isn't as hand-eye coordinated when they're playing a game, and you'll find that they like lean with Mario as he's jumping across something, and they want him to get that last little bit, so they'll.
I thought you were talking about like a device that. Oh, I was like, what?
Yeah,
no, I remember that.
Yeah, everybody did that because we were all still getting used to it at the time. But my kids are never gonna
I
have
didn't.
that. You didn't?
No.
That's weird.
Oh, that was rampant. Everybody I knew, if it wasn't them themselves, but somebody in their family, my wife still does it, even with the 360, like every once in a while.
Well,
I'll
I
do
can
it.
say I didn't do it in Mario specifically. I've done it
But-
in other games, of course.
Oh,
Rampant in racing games when you're trying to turn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty much where it happens.
I found myself doing it in Halo with the melee. Like, I would make the motion of hitting something with the controller. But, we always call it that the Mario lean or the Mario jank. And, or jump, sorry. Jank. And, my kids are never going to have that kind of experience. They're not going to be able to play an NES game unless it's emulated on something. And I don't know how I feel about that. I really don't.
I still have my NES.
You want to ship it over here?
I don't
No,
have
I
any
mean-
games for it. I have one
You can-
game for it. I have no
You
idea.
can buy
what the
them
other
pretty
games are
cheap
for.
on eBay.
Yeah, you can.
There's
wanted
actually
one.
a website that I have bookmarked somewhere that sells them, and they pretty much always have everything Nintendo in stock, including tons of games. But at some point there were only so many of them made, and sure,
Yeah.
I mean. I don't know. That's one of those, like, I want my kids to grow up having the same sense of awe and wonder and enjoyment in video games that I did. Being able to see how games have progressed over the span of 20 some odd years. And, right now my kid's like watching me play Halo 4 and he's like, "Wow, that's really cool, blah blah blah." And then you turn around and I go back and I'm playing like Fable, and he's like, "Man, this looks like ass." And it's like, "It does, but you shut your mouth, little kid, because this was cool at the time." Like the first time you ever played Half-Life, for anybody that did, you remember how awesome that game looked?
That was
And-
awesome.
Nobody did mouths that moved like that and was almost in sync, and it was approaching photorealistic, and now you look back at it and you're like, Jesus Christ, was everybody made out of pixels back in those days?
Yeah, it's you look back at it now, it looks like Minecraft.
Yeah, that's a really good way of describing it.
Yeah.
But moving to an all digital, I don't know that. Now I have to ponder on how much of my angst about this is concern for future generations.
I do sometimes worry about if Valve or Steam goes out of business somehow, what the deal will look like. I'm sure that someone will buy that inventory in the player base, but it will be interesting to see sort of how it evolves.
Well, depending on how they go about it, because Steam has said, Gabe has said that if they were to ever go under, they would release a patch that would un-Steam DRM all of their games.
Yeah.
I could see
So-
that. I mean, he's overall a good guy,
Yeah,
even though a lot of people
other
give
than
him shit.
Yeah.
Half-Life 3.
Well, other than
And that's
that.
pretty much it.
Yeah.
But no, that's also it is a concern, but it's not a concern. And again, I guess maybe it's one of those things where it's, it doesn't affect me, therefore I don't care. I mean, I have a Steam library. My buddy gifted me the entire Valve bundle. I have every Valve game on Steam that's there. I've won a couple of prizes that were given to me on Steam. Quad just bought Mount and Blade Warband for me on Steam, and I put in like 6 minutes into the tutorial this morning. But I don't play a lot of PC games at the moment, and that's situational, and I'm sure that if I was playing PC games, I would change that. But right now, it doesn't seem to be a concern to me.
No, but eventually it will be.
After my Kickstarter, I guess.
Yes, after your Kickstarter. Alright, let's get off this manual talk. We've been
Okay.
speaking of it way too long now. I
Way
think.
too long.
Let's just jump over to some news. I'll kick it off here. So you may have heard that the lead SimCity developers have left EA to form an indie game studio.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I wonder what type of game they're gonna make.
They were actually going on about, let's see, they are going
It's
to
gonna be an
start
FPS.
off on the iPad with a... Okay, so Jellygrade is starting off on the iPad with a fundamentally new simulation engine. It's hoping to be on PC in time. Yeah, so they made a studio and it's called Jellygrade. And
Okay.
what they are saying, at least for what the games are going to be, it actually looks kind of interesting. So I'm hoping they do well and we'll see some games coming out from them, whenever they get around to it. Yeah, that's what I'm hoping.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been a long time SimCity lover, but
They're
didn't
probably
get
not going to
the new one.
They're probably not going to do, SimCity because, well...
They're probably bound not to do anything like that.
Yeah. Yep. Let's see. Fez.
I bet you they could do another simulation game along those lines and get away with it.
Yeah.
I mean, if Zynga can copy games and get away with it, I'm pretty sure you can build a whole new game slightly different.
Yeah. Possibly.
Right. Fez sold 105,000 copies in 48 hours during Steam Summer Sale.
Yeah, I'm so pissed about that.
What was that?
Fez.
Oh, Fez.
Okay. Why are you pissed about that?
Because, okay, the game was released at $10. The whole game was released at $10.
Yeah.
And then he over time marked it down further, and it was like $7 like 2 weeks ago, and then people like voted for that to be one of their sales, and they cut it down to like $2.50 for the game, and then bumped it back up to like $5 or something after that little piece went over. And I don't know. I don't know if you follow Phil at all on Twitter, but he was kind of upset about it and was making fun of the people that voted for it. But honestly, like, okay, a $60 game going on sale for $15-$30, I can kind of get behind. $60 is a chunk of change. $10, I've bought in 6 copies of Fez at $10 and have no problems with that.
They could have just marked it down, less. They didn't have to do 75%.
Yeah, that's almost a kick in the nuts, in my opinion. And part of that is because
I'm looking at the sale charts now, and I see that it didn't in a day. It didn't sell more than 10,000. It sold at most 8,000. That was the first day it came out for pre-orders and such on Steam, and it looks like it sold around 40,000-ish copies before the sale, and then it just jumps up to around 62,000 in one day. So yeah.
But
I mean, good for him. He's
though, overall, it should work out to be beneficial because they calculate it based on the number of votes, how much they're going to discount games and all of that stuff. And I mean, it's not just like a blind, let's cut this because of this. They're assuming that the volume will make up for the price cut. I mean, otherwise, what are you doing, No,
that makes sense then. But at the same time, like, I
mean,
don't know, maybe
people should have bought it for $10. I mean, I see what you're saying. It's an indie game. They should have bought it for $10, but
exactly. I mean, if you're making, if it was a giant giant grouping, under EA's umbrella or under Microsoft's umbrella, and they spent $600 million to make AAA game modern shooter warfare thing, then yeah, go wait for a sale, wait for it to buy used, whatever. But when you're talking 1 and 2 man shops, 5-man shops. And these guys some of them are working, 9 to 5s or 9 to midnights, as well as developing that. I don't see $10 or $15 to be so out of reach for the vast majority of people, the vast majority of gamers, rather. I don't see why they should discount it at that point, unless it's been out for like 6 years. Then by all means, knock it down to $2.50. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, also keep in mind those 2-person teams of we're gonna make an indie game. One of their goals, maybe on par with or even above revenue, is numbers of people that are playing it. So I mean, they're like getting those kinds of numbers is huge for those teams because it catapults them into other things.
yeah, that's a good point. Because I mean, with the numbers, the people that then become addicted to said game or think it's awesome, more likely to buy future games by them, or use that as a jump
or
board.
they can get an advance from a publisher in order to make their next game, and get like all the time they need. They don't have to work 9 to 5. They can say, okay, here's however much money, go build like a game you really want to build, and let's push it out with marketing and all the stuff you need to make it successful. Because we see what you can do with so little, right? So now we'll give you something so you can really make something happen.
Fair enough. Okay.
It's like
I
releasing a
rescind
free
my
game as
outrage.
a iPhone developer. You release some free iPhone thing and get the numbers behind it in order to, I don't know, go sell it to Zynga or want to like get involved with Zynga on your next thing or whatever. Although I wouldn't recommend getting involved with them, but
Didn't one of Microsoft guys just go start working for Zynga?
I don't know.
I could have sworn I heard about a Microsoft, like a VP of something or other in gaming, moved over to Zynga.
Possibly. All the best Zynga people are already gone, seems like.
Right. Have you guys heard of the Bureau XCOM declassified?
No.
No.
It's the I don't know if it's a first-person shooter or a third-person shooter. It doesn't really matter, but it's a shooter XCOM game. That
could be kind of cool.
Yeah, it's coming out in the US 20th of August, in the UK 23rd of August. And well, it's actually looking kind of cool. It's set in the 50s and the 60s. It shows what
50s and
how
the 60s.
Yeah, it shows how the start of the XCOM initiative started.
Oh, okay.
That's
so kind of a prequel.
Yeah, it's a prequel.
I liked XCOM.
Yeah, it's an excellent game, but how will they do with it being a cover-to-cover combat shooter?
Yeah, it's probably going to have to be third person, don't you think? If it's going to be that cover-based like XCOM is?
It could be. I think it may be third person.
Yeah,
I can't say. Yeah, it looks third person. I think you control 3 people, You can possibly, I don't know.
Dude, that's kind of cool.
I wouldn't know. I don't know that much about the game. I haven't read too much about it.
I just did a Google Images search for it. It looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it does. And I'm hoping it'll be as cool as it looks. Because I'll probably pick it up if, unless someone comes out and says it's shit. So,
bro.
Yeah. I'm hoping it'll be awesome.
All right. I only have one and it's more of a throwback, is that the Ouya guys have kind of possibly fucked themselves in the long term.
Oh?
Yeah, they have a clause in the free games fund. Did you hear about that one?
No.
Okay, so the guys that made the Ouya came up with a fund of like $1 million, and basically the gist of it is a game developer can apply for funds out of that $1 million if they run a Kickstarter, a successful Kickstarter for a game. Then Ouya will will match the entire amount raised, provided that the game is Ouya exclusive for the first 6 months of release. So
Okay.
on the surface, it looks good. Like, game developer, like, you could totally cool, but at the same time, the Ouya sold how many millions of consoles? Yeah, not that many. So I think in the long term, just sheer mathematically, it doesn't quite work. I'll be happy to be surprised if it does work out really well, because I mean, exclusives are exclusives, and hatred of the other guy is usually what sells a console.
Yeah.
So, you know, if they have, hey, we've got new awesome game number 4, and it is exclusive to the Ouya now, or you can wait 6 months and get it for the PS4, or the Xbox One, or PC, whatever, then, you know, I could see that being a draw. But
if it's a great game, though, I feel like people will just wait before buying.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? I mean, 6 months is not a long time, really.
Well, I guess I would say it depends on how great. Like, if say that the game is, imagine Halo didn't come out on the Xbox, but Bungie was going to make it for the Ouya. I could tell you right now, I would be standing on Hollywood Corner, sucking off anybody I could to raise the funds for an Ouya and a copy of that game. That was probably a little more graphic than we're used to. I'm now 3 beers in. But, you know, I mean, depending on who's
and the guy
doing
would be
the
going,
game,
Ouya.
Ouya.
Right.
Okay, moving
Too
on.
easy.
Moving on. So there's a Halo game that came out like yesterday that Rev hadn't even heard of. It's a game that bridges the gap between the top-down shooter bridges the story gap between the events of Halo 3 and Halo 4. But the thing is with this game is that it is Windows 8 exclusive.
No. It's also available on the Windows Phone 8. So for the 4 of
Windows
you
8
in the universe,
tablets.
For that guy that got a Windows phone.
Exactly.
That's exactly what Rev told me earlier. So yeah, let's see. While we imagine it'd be, let's see. Our preview of the PC version revealed that the series' super compelling gameplay is still there, even with the camera slung up high in the sky.
So it's basically a top-down shooter, and it's the first in the franchise. Well, no shit, it is that's been built specifically for touch-enabled devices. It's also
just some Halo marketing crap.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the Halo movie. They're coming out with the Halo movie. Did you know that?
Hey, I would like that idea.
Well, the game itself only costs $7, so.
Well,
yeah, but you also have to buy a Windows 8 phone, so.
That's true.
Or a Windows 8 license, which I refuse to do.
Or the Windows RT. So yeah, basically it's $7 plus a lifetime of hell and bugs. Or you could just pass on it.
Yeah, I'm gonna pass on it. Because I tell everyone that I pretty much recommend computer to, I just say, do you have a old computer with a Windows 7 license. Yeah, that's pretty much what I do. Instead of them buying Windows 8, or, well, if they get Windows 8, just put in Windows 7 instead.
Oh!
I like Windows 8.
I have the SPLA, the SPLA for Microsoft. I could get a testing license for Windows 8.
Cool.
I might do this. I'm appropriating work licensing for the purpose of playing Halo.
Okay, yeah, do that. I don't... Just do it. Just for the Halo.
I might do that.
Yeah.
Well, this is going to be like the Game of Thrones thing, but I played Halo 1 for a little while and didn't really like it, and I've never played any other Halo game.
I can totally understand, and unfortunately, I'm not gonna harsh on you. I'm not at all.
Yeah, I don't play Halo either. Oh, well, I do play it, but that's only co-op. I only do it when I do it co-op.
Like I've said before, Halo is one of my all-time favorite games by one of my all-time favorite developers. But I can understand. I mean, it's a kind of cartoony sci-fi future FPS, and that market doesn't really appeal to a whole slew of people. I mean, if we want to get really into it, the only reason that Halo became as popular as it did outside of the Bungie fans and the very limited number of FPS console gamers was the fact that multiplayer was balanced and badass. I don't play the multiplayer.
A lot of people attribute that the Bungie situation and Halo and all that stuff for forever killing the potential of Mac gaming. Like they say, if Bungie would have continued with Apple and not gotten bought and all that stuff, and that Apple would have like sort of endorsed gaming, they would have made better GPU hardware and all this stuff, and they would have been more in that camp. But instead, they went a different direction.
Well, it was also the draw. I mean, like any other game developer, I totally agree. It was originally going to be an Apple game. It was actually going to be a third-person quasi-RTS game. And Microsoft came along and said, we need a launch day product, and we like the way this looks, and we're going to throw you a shit ton of money if you will do it for us. And then they made that changeover.
Yeah, I don't fault them. I don't fault Bungie for it. I'm just saying it's kind of an interesting... Like, Bungie has sort of like a power, that people talk about in computer history, I guess.
Yeah, I can see that. I could see that because if they had continued on developing it for Apple prior to that, then we might be all gaming on Macs. Well, no, we wouldn't, but you know what I mean. No. It would be easier to game on a Mac.
Let's see. Which games were the Flood in? The first and the second?
And the third.
And the third? Oh, that's when they went interstellar, right?
They were interstellar in all of them.
No,
it's
they
a
weren't.
Universe-wide. Yes.
They weren't. No, actually, they weren't.
Interstellar means between stars.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, there are things. They have development stages where they're feral, coordinated, interstellar, and intergalactic.
Yeah, the Flood, from every time we've contacted them, they were all interstellar.
Well, they could have, but, being feral is also one thing. That's usually when they first get infected, which is the first thing that happened in the first Halo game, right?
Yeah.
Yes, so they were in the feral stage. They couldn't then travel between the stars. They had gotten there, by going through the stars, but they couldn't really do it again until later.
Except they were taking over the Pillar of Autumn and the Truth and Reconciliation for the express purposes of traveling the stars. So they were already interstellar.
I don't know. I'm just reading the wiki. But I thought the first and the second games were brilliant.
You mean you're not pulling this off the top of your head?
No, I'm not. I'm not, actually.
I'm just kidding. I have no idea what's going on.
I am, and tease away.
Right, so I like the first and the second game. I actually love them, but yeah, my favorite part of the games were actually, the flood related.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so that's where I actually had the most fun. That's where I remember the game from. And the first mission in Halo 1, of course.
Yeah. That's
Next time on the Halo podcast.
I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, I've got to find some way that we can kind of change it up, because I tend to hate on EA, I tend to suck off Bungie, and outside of that, I just get angry and rant.
Right. I think we've spoken enough for today.
Yeah.
Actually, there's one more thing I need to hear from you. What will you be playing? Let's begin with Rev.
I will be playing How to Convince My Boss to Pay Me More Money, otherwise I'm going to start doing exactly what is in my job description and nothing more, and he can suck off.
Cool. Travis?
Sounds like a great game.
Yeah.
I will be playing probably PlanetSide 2 and EVE Online, and some nice random person gifted me Sleeping Dogs. So I was gonna check that out. Yeah, I hear it's good. I'm gonna use my controller and see if that makes it more fun.
I don't know.
The
only game I've ever used on PC for, a controller is Need for Speed, Hot Pursuit, and Rogue Legacy.
I like third-person games using a controller. But anyway, I have The Last of Us is being shipped to my house as we speak.
Need to play that as well.
Check that out.
You need to play that in one sitting.
In one
He's telling you that he's going to play it.
I'm going to play it. It's on my... I bought it. It's going to be played.
You should have played it longer.
Actually, my wife bought it. I wasn't planning on buying it, but...
I would have told you to do it.
I know. That's basically it. I think that's about all I have time for. I don't have time for that list, so...
Oh, yeah.
Aren't you playing, ride a bicycle an ungodly amount of distance tomorrow?
That is true. Tomorrow I will be riding my bike over the Golden Gate Bridge to Sausalito.
Sounds awful.
It's like 12 miles or something like that. Ridiculous amount of time. I hate driving that far. He's going to ride a bike that far.
Sounds awful.
Sounds awful.
I've done that before. It's not that hard.
Okay, so I'm just a lazy bastard.
It's the hills.
What are you going to play?
Yeah, you're just lazy. Well, you said 13 miles? That's nothing.
Yeah, it's not that far. Well, one way.
Well, you're supposed to go back as well.
Back.
Well, that's actually what I've done before. I was, what was I, 13, 14 years old?
Oh, that doesn't count.
That doesn't count. You can go anywhere. 13, you just ride for freaking days, man. I used to just ride my bike constantly.
Yeah.
Right, Travis, don't die tomorrow.
I'll try not to.
Before I go on to what I will be playing, I should say I'm going to be moving down south in less than a month.
That's exciting.
Yes.
Oh,
Quad life
Southern
update.
Norway.
Yes, Southern Norway.
Oh,
that's
Quad's going to Alabama now.
That's 2,000 kilometers away. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I'll be moving there because I am going to go to school. That's going to be fun.
Excellent.
Yes.
Interesting.
Did you get accepted? I don't even know how your school system works over there. Do you have to apply to the school and be accepted? And okay.
Yes, but you don't have the sort of application where you write your whatever.
Where you write a check and then if it clears, you get in.
Yeah. Like that. It's not like that here. But yeah, that's going to be fun.
All right.
So let us jump over to what I will be playing.
What will you be playing, Quad?
Right, I will be probably trying out EVE Online later today.
You should join the Reddit corporation. It's lots of fun, and they'll set you up.
I have a friend with billions of credits.
But it doesn't matter. You can have all the credits you want. It's super boring and shitty of a game if you're not in a huge corporation.
Yeah, I'll sort it out when I actually learn how to fucking play the game. I'll be playing Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, Stronghold Crusaders. I'll be
everything you mentioned at the beginning of the podcast.
And Dota 2.
No, probably won't be playing it unless I get dragged into it by, friends that play it. And if I find the Civilization 5 DLC, the new one, on sale, I'll be buying that. If not, I'll be waiting until, the friend that plays EVE Online gets back from his train holiday.
Okay.
Yes.
What?
And of course, if I see...
took a holiday on a train is what that translates to.
Oh, okay.
He has a Euro trip ticket where he can go on any train he wants in the entirety of Europe.
Oh, I saw the movie.
Yeah.
I was just thinking that.
It's enough for me.
Well, it's called different things for different countries in the Euro. It's an Euro. I don't know. It's weird, but you can get on any train in the EU or any partnered one for free when you have that ticket.
Oh, we were kind of joking. There was a movie.
I know. I've seen it as well.
Okay, fine then. It didn't seem like you did.
Wait, is that the one? Is that the one with Amanda Bynes that flashes the car?
Yes, and the brother and sister end up making out, and it's all he goes over there because the German.
I'll have to watch the movie again.
The important part is Amanda Bynes lifting up her shirt.
Yes,
just saying.
Okay, and I'll be buying any game I find that I think will be interesting that is on sale. Yeah. So probably will be playing many different types of games, and I've probably forgotten what other games I've been playing this week because there are so many games I've bought and so on.
Out of curiosity, speaking of sale, I've seen some people comparing numbers. How much has each of you guys spent on the Steam Summer Sale thus far?
I've actually spent 0. I haven't bought anything.
20 to 25 euros. 25 euros counting the Mountain Blade Warband I bought for you.
Oh, okay.
So, not much. I don't...
All right, then.
I spent more... I think I spent more last year because now I have all the games I want.
Yeah, the key is not to buy anything until the end unless it's a flash sale.
Yes. If it's a flash sale, buy it.
I'll have to keep that in mind for when I buy Steam games.
Because flash sales are the ones that are, you have the best price for it. Super Meat Boy is actually on sale if you want to pick it up.
I own it on
the
Xbox.
glutton for punishment.
You should have reminded me that the Game Trade thing was going on last week.
How much more reminder do you need? Facebook, IRC, Twitter, I announced it everywhere and
I didn't see it.
Oh, well that's your fault, not mine. I was also gone camping with my family for the weekend, which is why I wasn't.
I think I noticed it on Sunday and I completely forgot about it until, 2 days after it finished. Nah. But I really wanted to do the podcast and announce that they were doing it.
Yeah, I did too. It's just scheduling and camping with kids.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. But they will be doing it again in 6 months, so let's do it then. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys for listening to our semi-coherent ramblings. This has been Time to Live podcast. I'm Rev signing out.
Yes, and I'm Quad.
And the most amazing sometimes guest, Travis. Sometimes guest, sometimes host. Occasional.
Yeah. You're usually the host. Whenever you can find the time.
Guest host.
Yeah, guest host.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Happy medium.
So, thanks for watching, guys, and I hope to see you again next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.